I use a water bath for when I take the spores, the cultures out of the freezer to break their dormancy. You don't need a water bath. You can just use hot water from the tap and adjust your temperature to the 42 to 45 range, and I leave it in for 6 minutes. I think Sarala said 4 minutes. It's a fairly flexible window, as long as you don't leave them in there for 2 hours. I need a sterilizing oven because I use those metal inoculators and collectors, so I have to clean them in between isolates. You just wash them with acetone, rinse them, put them in there for an hour at a reasonable temperature, and the spores will die. Microwave oven for drying the silica gel, as Robert mentioned. And then if you're fortunate enough to have good air conditioning and greenhouse compartments, you can really do great rust work, more or less in the range of 15 to 25. When you do stripe rust work, you will need to get that temperature down to below 20. Minus 80 freezer for the storage of cultures. You need some kind of an inventory or a racking system where you can, the tubes go into the boxes go into those racks, and then the racks into the freezer itself. I use the commercially available cryo tubes, but I know the Australians use the tin foil or aluminium foil package system. So you need a sealer, and then you can just put your spores inside and seal it and store it either in liquid nitrogen or in your minus 80. Microscopes, generally handy to have. We don't do a lot of microscopy, but if you want to count spore germination, you can do that quite easily with a stereo microscope, not necessarily a compound one. Mixer and balance. If you want to do very precise measurements, you need an electronic balance where you can weigh out milligrams of spores. We use the mixer to mix our maleic hydroside. It really helps, but it's also not an essential. A refrigerator, I think, is very valuable to have. Many races we can store in the oil, in bottles, in the refrigerator itself.
Exactly, this maleic hydroside, you need to shake it because it doesn't dissolve.
Not immediately, but if you have a strong arm, you can shake it. It will dissolve.
It's usually acidic. It's acid. You need to put in a very small quantity of sodium hydroxide inside. Like it's if it is 1 liter. If you are going to say prepare like 20 liters, 25 liters of it, I mean, then you are putting in a very big quantity. So you need like 9.5 grams of maleic hydroside in 20-25 liters, but that won't dissolve immediately.
Yeah.
So what you will do is, first of all, you will take a little bit warmer, lukewarm water, put in a pellet of sodium hydroxide in it and dissolve it. Then you put in maleic hydroside in it and leave it overnight. So overnight, half of its quantity will be dissolved. You drain the dissolved quantity out and then put in a little bit more warm water. That will dissolve immediately the rest of the maleic hydroside. And then you just make the volume.
No, I think there's a good tip for us all to use.